Hello again, everybody. Welcome back. My name's John Sullivan, and you're watching Sportsbook Confidential. I'm coming to you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in Seneca Falls, New York. And this little show here is to help you learn and grow as a sports bettor. And it's a beautiful fall day here, 80-plus degrees. So we're going to make the show kind of short and sweet today. And we're going to have a sportsbook lesson. And instead of going into a super math-related topic, we're just going to talk sportsbook etiquette and what to expect and guidelines on how to behave in the sportsbook. And then we're going to go right into the NFL and talk about Week 3. And that'll do it for today's show. But as we always do, let's start by updating the bankroll. And had to step back after my perfect Week 1. Started with a bankroll of $520, and then I had the Vikings plus 3.5. Got a good number there, beat the closing line, but the Vikings just played awful. Kirk Cousins played awful. I don't know what to make of that team. They were considered to be somewhat of a favorite to win the division. I always felt the Packers were better, but I didn't think they were this bad. Anyway, minus $17 to the bankroll. And then we had the Buccaneers over 47.5, and that was a winner as the game ended with 48 points. And that was plus $17 to the bankroll. And then we had the Cowboys and Falcons under 54, and the Cowboys committed 4 first-period turnovers that led to 20 points by the Falcons. The Falcons led this game 20-0 at the end of the first quarter. And the game actually ended up 40-39. I knew it was toast when all 4 of those turnovers led to points. That's something it doesn't happen very often, and you just don't expect it. But not much of a chance with that one, so minus $17. We'll talk more about the Cowboys later in the show. If you do the math, that's minus $17 to the bankroll. So the new bankroll is $503, and our bet size going forward remains $17. We divide by 30 because we're selective sports bettors, and we try not to make too many wagers each week, even though it's a lot of fun to do. But we're looking for the edges because our profit is our goal. So let's talk about sportsbook etiquette. And I'm going to start by talking about what I'm not talking about, if that makes any sense. What I'm not talking about is obvious manners regarding going out in public, hygiene, attire, personal space, and respect. Obviously, these things kind of go without saying. If you're going anywhere, especially in today's COVID world, and you're lining up in a public space, you want to respect somebody's personal space. You want to make sure that your hygiene is decent and presentable. You're presentable, and you have respect for the other people in the line or in the public space. And I don't think that really needs to be said, but I just wanted to get that out there so we can concentrate on the topics that I want to cover today in regards to going to the sports books. Now, a lot of the stuff you'll find online about sportsbook etiquette really relates to the Vegas experience and what I call the old school sportsbook experience, where there were no kiosks to print tickets out, and you had to go to a human being to get your sports betting ticket, kind of like you do at the racetrack. They do have kiosks at the OTB and whatnot, but you go to the racetrack and you're going to go to the counter and tell a person the bet that you want, and they're going to print you the ticket. And so when you read online about sportsbook etiquette, that's a lot of what they're talking about, but it's very different today with mobile betting and with kiosks and a lot of automation. So let's start by talking about these other topics that we will encounter in the sportsbook, whether we're beginning bettors or we're experienced bettors. And the first one is novice bettor questions. So I have 2 things to say about this. First one, if you're a novice bettor and you're not really sure what's going on, you don't understand the numbers that are on the board, on the big lighted board above you, and you're not sure how the kiosks work, you should go to the staff, and they will have people on staff here locally at the local casino that will show you how to work the machines if you want to do it by machine, or they'll help you getting your ticket written at the counter where you speak to another human, and they'll answer your questions. And some people like myself, who was, that novice one day, long time ago, I feel comfortable if somebody asks me a question answering, but there may be other people that do not want to hear your nonsense. So go to a staff member and say, I need help. I need to understand this. Can you explain this to me? And that's what they're paid for. That's why they're there. So as a novice bettor, don't be afraid to ask somebody on staff to help you just because you're not familiar with how it all works. So lining up for the kiosks in the window. So, we talked a little bit before about respecting other people's personal space. The number one thing I'm going to say about this, especially if you go on a busy day, is be prepared. Be prepared not only for the bet you want to place, but be prepared if that number is gone when you get to the window. What I mean by that is if I want to bet, under 56 on a football game, and then I get to the window and it's changed to under 55, I need to be ready to decide what I want to do on that. Do I want to switch to another game? Do I want to still bet it at minus 50 at under 55? Do I want to play under 56 but pay extra juice? Those are all options for you. So you need to be ready to go when you're in line, whether it's for the kiosk or for the window. And, that includes having your money ready, or your vouchers or whatever. And, on a busy day, I actually went to the local sportsbook here last Sunday morning, and I was actually betting on the Monday night game. I wasn't really concerned about getting a bet in before 1 o'clock, but boy, it was like parlay central there. People were betting up a storm, and the lines for all the kiosks were super long, and people did not really, a lot of those people were novice bettors, and they weren't really sure. They were calling people on the phone to make sure they were making the right bets, and it was frustrating to watch, but that was kind of my fault for going at a busy time. But be prepared. Be prepared if you're going to be in a line and you're going to queue in line with a bunch of other people. Sitting in the sportsbook. Now, this one varies greatly from sportsbook to sportsbook. So if you go, when we talk about the traditional Las Vegas experience, if you go to more of the more famous sports books, they have seating areas available to you to watch the games, or to watch the odds board if you're waiting for odds to change or odds to come up. Now they have they have really swanky seating areas, including boxes at some private boxes at some sports books that are reserved, and you can reserve them, but they cost money to sit there. And then if you're a horse player, at a lot of the old school sports books, they have special cubicles reserved for the horse players because they have the screens that they can flip from track to track, and you just reserve one of those and place your bets. The local casino here has a restaurant in its sports book, and it's kind of expected if you're going to sit at one of the tables that you're going to order food or drink. They do have some comfy chairs in the back row, and then they do have some like VIP lounge area seating. I do not know if you have to pay for that or you have to spend a certain amount. But with the COVID going on right now, they're not serving food or drink. And there's several seats in there, and they are now allowing you to sit down if you want to watch. They have a 100-foot television screen there. So I don't know how much fun it would be to watch a whole football game there when you can't order anything. You can't even get coffee or soda. But you can in some sports books. I went to one of the Turning Stone properties last week And they had a very nice sports book with comfortable couches, and it appeared like it was, a free-for-all. If you wanted to sit down and watch the games, you could just make yourself comfortable. But it varies from place to place, so know the rules. They should have them posted somewhere if you're going to sit in the sports book. And remember, if somebody's serving your table and you're occupying that table, make sure you tip your server, even if you're not going to eat or drink a lot, because that's how they make their money. They make most of their money in tips. So, and finally, engaging with fellow bettors and staff. And this is one that, is kind of, there's no hard, fast rules, but it's open to interpretation. I always, some days I go to the sports book and I want to get my tickets and turn around and walk right out the door, and I don't want to spend any time there. And other days I go and get my tickets and I want to mill around and see what other people are doing. And my rule is, if I've already placed my bets and I've gotten the numbers that I wanted to get, if somebody comes up to me and asks me, who do you like, what do you do, what do you bet, I'm not afraid to tell them. I'm here talking to you every Friday, telling you what I'm going to bet. So as long as I've placed my wagers, I'm an open book. I don't care. I don't bet very big, but you don't want somebody taking your numbers away from you by betting big on the games that you wanted to bet on and then moving the number. So there is a reason to maybe not share your bets before you place them. I try to be friendly to the staff. I always say, hi, good morning, how are you today? How's the chicken at the restaurant? How are the chicken wings here? I think it's important to have a good rapport. They don't know what's coming in the door, and it kind of sets a cordial tone. If you need help with something, I think that's important. People will come up and they'll want to talk to you and they'll want to tell you a bad beat story, or, and then whatever. There can be some very sick, degenerate people that are going to ask you for money or something like that. And, obviously that's a worst case scenario, and that's considered a no-no and, a reason to get kicked out of the sports book or even the casino in general. But, whatever you're comfortable with. The sports book can be a fun social place to go watch some football or to go watch some sporting events, have a few adult beverages, or I'm a coffee snob, so good coffee if they have it. But it's different in each situation, and I always try to meet new bettors and talk to them, and maybe I can find some extra edge by learning what other people are doing and what they're betting on. And I just try to see the optimism in it. But it can be annoying for some people, and I understand that. So let's move on to the big topic in sportsbook etiquette, and that's tipping. And I had a very animated discussion with a couple of friends this week about sportsbook tipping. And they ranged from, of course you do it, to why the hell would you ever do it? Tipping is a hot button issue for a variety of reasons, and let's talk about these. Mobile wagering eliminates tipping. Basically, it does. If we don't have mobile wagering in New York State, but if you can bet on your phone, you can load your account without a human being involved. You can make your wagers without a human being involved. You can cash out without a human being involved. So obviously, there is no need for tipping. It is totally automated. And kiosks eliminate most needs for ticket writing. Now, if you don't know what ticket writing is, if you go to the window and talk to a human and they print out your sports betting ticket, that person is called a ticket writer. And the kiosks have almost all of the possible bets you can make built into them. So you don't really, if you're going to the sports book and you're betting the side or the total, you're betting the point spread or the money line, it's going to be in the kiosk. You don't need to go to a human being. So, however, if you're a person that likes to bet, specialty sports, or you're a deep dive golf bettor, or like me that likes to bet Canadian football or Aussie rules, and I want to get a bet on like a second half total, or if it's a golf tournament, a matchup between this player and this player, because I saw it on the website a couple of days ago, and it's not on the kiosk, then you go to the counter and say, I would like to place this bet. I saw it on your website a couple of days ago, and they write you the ticket. That's worthy of a tip, especially if you win. I'm not saying that you have to tip right then and there, but that's going above and beyond for them. And if you win that bet, you should be very appreciative they were able to help you out. And of course, why should I tip to get my money? And one of the reasons I've talked about in past sportsbook lessons, having a profit motive, and the best advice I ever read in a poker book was Amarillo Slim's book. He says, if I'm going to gamble, I want to know if I win that I'm going to get paid. He's like, that's the number one rule of gambling. And I agree with that. It's like you go to the sports book here locally, and we have you're going to give them cash, and if you win, you're going to get cash back. You're going to get paid. And if you get prompt service, especially if it's busy, I think it's worth a little bit. It really depends. If you're starting out and your bankroll is $500 and you're placing $17 bets, tipping is not that. The ticket writer is probably not going to expect you to tip him or her, and you need to save that money for your bankroll. If you're cashing a ticket that's over $500, or the last time I went to cash before COVID started, I cashed a ticket, or a couple of tickets that totaled about $700-800, and the guy in front of me was cashing a ticket on one game that paid $10,000, and he tipped and I tipped, but I said to the ticket writer, I said, kind of makes my win look pretty insignificant, but that's the deal. I mean, they're going to pay you, and if you play blackjack, or you play roulette, or you play craps, you often tip the dealer when you're done, for giving them good service while you're playing the game. And it's the same thing with sports betting. It's up to you. It's your decision. But I think if you're cashing in a significant amount of money, say I won a 10-team parlay and it paid, $35,000 or something, of course I'm going to throw them something, at least $100 there. How much should I tip? That's another question. That's personal preference. If somebody is just straight cashing you out for something that is a normal activity in the sports book, a token amount is fine. If you win a hand of poker, you usually tip, it depends what stakes you're playing, but you usually tip $1. Sometimes you might tip $5. The same thing goes for the sports book. You tip, if you're cashing out $50, if you tip them $1 or $2, that's acceptable for what I tip $100, you tip them a couple of bucks. It's acceptable. It's when you get into those big amounts that it gets a little more what is deemed appropriate. And finally, regulars need a good relationship with the staff. And I believe this to be very true. And I had recently had a incident with the kiosk where I put in my vouchers and I had money loaded on the machine, and I tried to place a wager and it said, "See manager." And for those of us that have had that experience before, that usually means they don't want you to bet anymore. But it turns out it was just a glitch in the kiosk, and I was allowed to place my wagers. So having a good relationship with the staff will help you get problems resolved quickly, and it will allow you, if you are somebody that does win from time to time, or over the long haul, as they say, stay on their good side and help you out without giving you a lot of grief. And, if, a little tip here and there doesn't hurt. So I kind of danced around the ultimate yes or no, but my answer is if you're betting significant amounts, I think you should tip. So that's it for the sportsbook lesson today. Let's move it on to the NFL. We got week 3 here. Everybody's playing this week, and some interesting games. A lot of injuries last week. A lot of people are out. Let's get it started. Raiders at Patriots. The Raiders look good beating the Saints. Patriots came up short against the Seahawks. Patriots are so good at home. Minus 5.5, I think, is a lot of points. Although my model has it at minus 6.27. And the total's about right on. That game does not look juicy to me at all. I think I'm going to pass. Rams at the Bills. Minus 2.5 for the Bills. 46.5. I have it at minus 1.87 and 45.05. So I actually lean under in this game. The Rams held the Cowboys to 17 points. The Bills have not played a great defense yet. I feel like this is going to go under. I think this is going to be a real grinder. This is going to be like a 21-17 game. Texans at Steelers. Boy, the Texans started out with the Chiefs, and then they got the Ravens, and now they got the Steelers. And Steelers minus 4.45. So good at home, those Pittsburgh Steelers are. I have it at minus 5.46, 43.52, so I have it at under. We'll see what happens. It seems like the first couple of weeks the offenses have been better than the defenses, but I feel like it's going to start to catch up and even out, and those scoring averages are going to go back where they're supposed to be. 49ers at Giants. Giants plus 3.5. 41 is the total. This game is no Saquon Barkley, no Jimmy Garoppolo, no Kittle, and the top 2 running backs from the 49ers are out. And my model has the 49ers as 6.67 favorites, 44.45. I do believe that the replacement level, of course, on the Giants side, they're going to rely more on the passing game because their running back will be more of a pass catcher, and they'll be in a position where they're going to have to rely more on the passing game, and that's going to extend the game and make it an over-ish situation. And I think the 49ers, they started their dominant run on a season where they were playing their third-string quarterback, and then Jimmy G came back and he rolled off 5 straight wins. This team is not going to suffer as much. I didn't think losing Kittle was the be-all, end-all, but he's obviously a big weapon for them. Losing Juszczyk, the fullback, is the big piece for me. They can find a serviceable running back, and Jimmy G will be back in a week or so. I think the Niners are a good pick here. I really do. See what kind of spread we can get, but 3.5 looks pretty juicy to me. Titans at Vikings. Vikings plus 2.5 at home, 49.5. I don't know what to make of this team. My model says the Vikings are 1-point favorite. My model loves the Vikings for some reason. They are just not playing to their potential, and it could be, after that 0-2 start, maybe they're going to start mailing it in. I don't know. 49.73. The total's right on. Boy, that's a tough matchup for them. I just would stay away from this game altogether. I just don't like it. The Washington football team at the Browns. Browns minus 7.5, 45. I have it at minus 5.4, 43.82. I like Washington. I feel like they're going to be a much more competitive team this year. I said at the beginning of the year they might be an 8-8 team, and they had a tough Arizona team last week, and it was 30-15. I think the final score was. Washington can put some pressure on Baker Mayfield, and I feel like that's not a gimme game. I feel like 7.5 points is a lot here, so I kind of like Washington there. The Bengals at the Eagles. Eagles minus 4.5, 47.5. I have it at minus 7.65, 45.43. This assumes that the injury bug does not continue to haunt the Eagles. Their offensive line is really patchwork right now. But the Bengals could not get any pass rush on the Browns. Baker Mayfield had all day to throw in that game, and they were 2 scores ahead, and they just cruised to the victory. They gave up a whatever touchdown at the end, but so yeah, the Eagles, they need a victory bad. They do. It seems like eons ago when they won their Super Bowl, but it really wasn't that long ago. Bears at Falcons -347. So this is a game I find very interesting. I have us at -1.86, 44.53. Obviously, the Falcons are going to play a much better defense than they played last week in the Cowboys. The Bears' defense is legit, in my opinion. I don't know about the spread here. I wouldn't take the Bears +3, but I do like the under in this game. The scoring in the last couple of weeks has been pretty ridiculous with no preseason. I think the cat's out of the bag on a lot of teams' playbooks now. So I feel like scoring is going to go back to the league average, that 45, 46 points. And I think the Falcons are due to have a slower game. It's not like Julio Jones was looking all that great last week either. All right, let's finish up here, and we'll get to my picks. Jets at the Colts. Colts -11.5, 44. I have it at -10.32 and 43.32. So the total's right on. Yeah, my model says take the Jets +11.5, and that's 2 scores. That's almost 2 touchdowns, and nobody likes to give up 2 touchdowns in this league. No sportsbook likes to give up 2 touchdowns in a point spread. So I would wait. Maybe if it got to 13, I'd probably hop on the Jets. The Jets are decimated. Obviously, no Le'Veon Bell. They have a couple of good receivers, and the Colts did not dominate last week. The Vikings couldn't get out of their own way. Phillip Rivers threw a red zone pick, if I remember correctly, last week. So they did have like 5 field goals or something like that. So yeah, 11.5 is a lot. That's a lot of points. Panthers at Chargers -6.5, 43.5, -6.37, 47.33. Well, it makes you wonder. My model likes the over here a lot, and there's no Christian McCaffrey for the Panthers. And so is Teddy Bridgewater going to get the passing game going? And then on the other side, is Herbert, I butchered his name, I don't know how to say it, going to play over Tyrod Taylor? Because it seemed like the offense clicked when he was in there. If he plays, I really like the over here. If he doesn't, I'd probably stay away from this game. Lions at the explosive Arizona Cardinals, -5.5, 55. My model has it at -4.5, 53.40. I would consider the Lions at +6. The Lions can score points, but the Lions also do Lion things like they did against the Bears in Week 1. I thought that bet was a loser for me, but it ended up winning. I'm not really confident in Matt Patricia's ability to hold a lead, but he does know how to manage the game when they're behind. So we'll see what happens there. Bucks at the Broncos. Broncos +5, 43.5. I have it at +3.62, 47.20. So my model likes the over, and it likes the Broncos. The Broncos are tough at home. They have no Von Miller. They have no Drew Lock. They do have good receivers. They got Jeff Driscoll at quarterback, and they still have Melvin Gordon in the backfield. You would think if Tampa Bay scores quickly in this game, say they get up by 14-0, then it's going to be an over game. But it's interesting that Driscoll kept the Broncos close to the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road last week. It's a lot of points. I'm not that big on the Tom Brady thing. I don't know. Their division is too tough. They could be a wild card team. All right, Cowboys at Seattle. Let's get through these last couple of games. So, Seattle, Atlanta, and the Cowboys had their own little round-robin tournament. Week 1 was Seattle and Atlanta, high-scoring game. Week 2, Cowboys and Atlanta, high-scoring game. Week 3, Cowboys at Seattle. And the total's 57 right now. Seahawks -5. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the total. I have it at -2.86. So my model says take the Cowboys +5. It also has the total at 49.52. And this is the most glaring difference on my schedule, on my spreadsheet. And I got to play it under 57. And I'm going to tell you, the Cowboys are not going to turn the ball over 4 times in the first quarter again like they did last week. That was a one-off. And these teams are not going to continue at these record-breaking numbers. You know, teams average 30 points a week. That's going to put you in the echelon of all-time great. Now, I do realize that in the first couple of weeks they didn't call a lot of holding, and there were a lot of explosive plays, a lot of pass interference calls that extended games because the clock always stops. But we're due for a grinder here. And my model is telling me to bet the under here, and I'm probably going to do that. Hold my nose and do it, as they say. But I feel like it's, they only put up 37 points in week 1, the Cowboys, just when they faced a good defense. I'm not saying the Seahawks defense is great, but these are teams that are going to run the ball their fair share. Packers at Saints, Sunday night game. What a great game that should be. Saints -3, 52.5. I have the Saints as 1.31 favorites, 50.27. So it leans under. You know how much I like the Packers this year in my futures tickets. The Saints at home are just too tough to beat. I'm going to stay away from this game. I'm going to just get my popcorn and watch it. And then Monday night, what a game we have. The Chiefs at the Ravens, -3.5, 55. I have it at -3.18, 51.1. So my model says the Ravens are a slightly better team. And the Chiefs are coming off that crazy game with the Chargers where they were just stuffed. They didn't turn the ball over. They just couldn't score any points. And so it's saying, they're playing a much better defense than the Ravens. So you would think that this game would go under. I think 55 is too high there. And I like the under in that game. So let's finish up with my picks. I'm going to take the 49ers with their second-string quarterback, -3.5, -102 against the Jets, Jets. Then I'm going to take the Cowboys and Seahawks under 57, -110 on Sunday afternoon. And then on Monday night, I'm going to take the Chiefs and the Ravens under 55, -109. So life's short, bet the under. That's what I got for this week. There's a lot of other games that are worth betting on, and the lines can move between now and Sunday. So look for what number you want, and then go get it. And let's have some fun watching some football and maybe get some winners. So what I'm going to do is play the outro music for you now. And thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. Take care.